decision layer, I think, is a term that we tend to use a lot in the work that I do. So I work a little bit with the British Army, which I do have to laugh at times because my granddad only joined to escape the family, which I don't know if that says much about me, but I wasn't born, so I'm not going to hold him to it. But we tend to talk about decisions and journeys around that there. It's a life-changing scenario unless you get medical discharge and then you can get away with it. But the idea is around using everything we know today about that candidate or customer to decide what they should be doing next. And we look at gaps more than anything. Thank you so much for having me. I wanted to talk about landing page optimization, which I'm sure we've all touched at some point in our lives. I'm going to do the really awkward thing and ask you to raise your hands if you do any form of optimization today. 1, 2. Come on, guys, are you not the experienced architects? Right, okay. So landing page optimization, as you know, is all about creating stunning landing pages that convert. This is generally what I've built the last 10 years of working in this space on. But where I actually began in this area, funny enough, was in a call center. Does anyone know the company First Source? Yeah, lovely. That is where I began. And what I used to do in First Source was spend every morning resizing 15 different systems. 15 different systems that told me 15 different things about all of our customers. We had one that, and for anyone that ever phoned O2 Broadband will know this, we called it DPA, and we assumed every customer knew what that meant. Apparently a lot of them did because they've been through it so much. It meant Data Protection Act, which I think is outdated now. But essentially, we would start in DPA, we would move to Amdocs, I think it was, then to GIM, which is Jakarta Interface Manager. Every single platform, different logins, different IDs, different views of the customer. Amdocs, funny enough, was the only one that could tell us what they actually complained about in the last session. Not that we knew until we could pass DPA. But essentially what I was dealing with was 15 sources of truth for a single individual. And I had no idea until I went through half of them what the hell the problem was. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't even say, how can I help you today? I had to go, what's your landline? Right. What's your security question? You don't know it. Okay. What's your email? So I can send you the reset to that security question over and over. Thankfully, XP, Windows XP, if anyone remembers it, had a nice feature where you could double tap and expand the window, which made my life easier because I didn't have to alt tab through every single one of these. But essentially, what I was doing, which is now what we all coin and a lovely fancy term was, I was the single customer view. Unlucky them, if I dropped the call by accident, they had to repeat this to the next person. Unluckier for me if the person was next to me, and triple unlucky if I was the same person that did it and had to go through it again. Because unfortunately I somehow had a very distinctive Scottish voice, would you believe it, working up in Derry there. But essentially, single customer view, one human, 15 windows. I think it was a bit more. I'm probably being optimistic. One alt tab at a time or double click. Having to do this by hand, God love them, my head was exploding. So having that in mind, and of course I reference First Source many times during my work today, bringing it into what I do today. So I asked how many of you are optimizing a landing page. Doesn't seem like a lot. How many of you are actually optimizing a journey? Oh, so you're not optimizing landing pages, but you're optimizing journeys. You're a step ahead. Fantastic. Both valid, but only one is the whole picture, as hopefully you guys know. But landing page optimization has served us well. It continues to do its justice. It's really great for me because it's how I make my mortgage payments every day. But essentially what we're testing is things like sticky CTAs, improved navigation, form fields, removing the double email confirmation, which I still see day in, day out. If you still have it on your sites, get rid of it. No one likes it. But essentially what we're measuring is quite page to next action. Very binary, very easy. But journeys is where the real magic happens. And that's because pages cannot see what happens before. There's many reasons for this, things like cookies expire. How many of you know if a user's visited 3 times and then your page changes? I'm going to say nobody, because it doesn't sound like nobody knew that. How many knows if they phoned your support team and then came to your site and then tried to apply for a mortgage, for example? Probably very few. But this is what the single customer view enables us. And why is this important? Is because customers do not care what department they're talking to. Their relationship is with us. The relationship is not solely with marketing, who promise them the world and sometimes deliver on it. Hopefully no marketing people here. But the customer only sees us as one individual. We own the relationship, we control the relationship. These are the folks that help us build that relationship with them. So, single customer view. The magic really happens before the interaction. So before that person comes to the site, we would love to know who they are, what they're about, what stages they've reached, what actions they should be doing before they do the action. And this is where landing page optimization plays a little part in that there. But single customer view elevates that. And you already know some of this. Your CRM systems hold a great deal of that information. You could probably go out there and personalize based on first name tomorrow, if you so wished. If you had my name, you'd probably get a spelling mistake in there because I haphazardly type it. You may know some of the behavioural events. That usually sits in GA4, Adobe Analytics. If you work in either of those spaces, do you know what Adobe and GA call their users? I think GA is, I probably give it away, but what does Adobe call? Nobody. Visitors at the minute. Unless you upgrade to CJA, that is people. But immediately our analytics are classifying them not as a person but as a visitor to the site, a visit. That is the scope, and that scope needs to expand, and this is where the single customer view comes in. It is not just a big and beautiful database, although we all love to have them. It is a system that gives you the answer to, given what we know, what's the thing they should do next? What's the thing they maybe shouldn't do next? Decision layer, I think, is a term that we tend to use a lot in the work that I do. So I work a little bit with the British Army, which I do have to laugh at times because my granddad only joined to escape the family, which I don't know if that says much about me, but I wasn't born, so I'm not going to hold him to it. But we tend to talk about decisions and journeys around that there. It's a life-changing scenario unless you get medical discharge and then you can get away with it. But the idea is around using everything we know today about that candidate or customer to decide what they should be doing next. And we look at gaps more than anything. And you may think, is this not just personalization tarted up? It can be, but personalization is a tactic. It's a tool in your arsenal to deliver on the single customer view. It's not really that name on the page. That name on the page is still important to connect, but it's not everything and not the be all and end all. Sometimes the best thing you can do is nothing. I think that's from a movie quote, but do not quote me on that. But I want you to take away this here, and personalization is all about the messaging. You'll see some fantastic companies out there. Made with Intent does really well in e-commerce. It's all about improving the relevancy of that message in that moment. But journey optimization, which is what the single customer view allows you to do, is improve the conversation. And we don't want the conversation to end with our customers. So, example, for those that don't do landing page optimization, this is generally what we test. We spend probably too much time here in trust signals with usually Trustpilot plastered everywhere, but we neglect to see the blind spots on either side of that journey, particularly the blind spots before, which might say that actually trust isn't the thing that they care about at the minute. It could be that they have an open case-based support, that maybe we should fix that before they go into the site. But it's all about real wins on single pages. Single actions, sometimes secondary measures, things like bounce rate, time on page, a lot of them vanity measures, if I say so myself. We'll get the wins on those, but it is stringing it all together is where the real magic happens. And this is where single customer view expands that context. When you understand the touch points that happened before, then you can decide how to expand the page. And some examples for you, because I feel generous today. But One page can have at least 4 states. It can have probably hundreds, it can have tens, it can have one in reason. But if you've never seen us, what should you do? Probably something you're all doing today, which is designing a great landing page experience, a great first touch point into exploring the relationship that we have. But if they've already done some actions, then that page is no longer relevant. Think about your home pages. How many of you are changing your home page depending on what you know about the visitor? I'm going to say a show of hands. Nobody. Easy win. If you want to go off and do it. Returning folks is a great place to start. But most people will come through your site through pages like that, through potentially paid ads, which you're spending probably lots of money on, gaining the same folks back that are probably already here, and some of them here, which is even worse, because if they're down in a service case, then something's gone wrong and we've just spent money bringing them back to the site. But your pages need to adapt with what they know beforehand. And how this changes for us. So I like to think of everyone in this room as we are an experienced architect. We decide how they should feel, what they should feel, if we can. But the idea is to essentially bring this to your work, ask the questions on what is it they need to do and what is it they're not doing, where are the gaps, and how do I get that information sooner so I can change the experience for the folks. My favourite example of this here is if anyone's been on the tube in London after work. Show of hands. Yeah. What are you doing? Fuck, the internet's gone. And you're maybe reloading the page in analytics that shows you single visitor, hundreds of page views on the same page. It looks like a bug. It's just your internet cutting out. Could you design something to account for that? Yep. Let me show you where you last left off, because you're probably at the midway point of that page. Let me bring you back there instead of the top, which everyone does, and it's really infuriating. For my line of work, which is all in experimentation, it's great for me because what I'm able to do then is tell you every step that you've changed in that journey has accumulated and changed the conversion rate for the better. We're no longer looking at simply form completions. We're looking at, have I improved the lifetime value of that customer for us? Have I improved the relationship to turn them into true advocates? Because at the minute, we're probably converting, we're not advocating. So is this just stop landing page? Absolutely not. It's so vital. It continues to be vital. Landing page optimization, again, is a tool in your arsenal. Personalization is another tool in your arsenal. But the single customer view can help you perfect this. It is not a silver bullet at all. It is quite a challenge. And it's usually quite a challenge because data quality tends to go out the window. How many people, I keep doing this to you guys, but how many people have, or would say they have a strong data governance team or practices or know about any of that? Love it. In the back, love it. How many of you use experience analytics tools? Are they set up with data governance? Yep. All of these will derail it. You could have a single customer view full of crap and you will build crap experience on the back of that. And it's important for yourselves as well to connect with those that are collecting data on the customer. You design, say, experience maps, for example, where you could be telling them we need to be collecting this in this format and this is how I expect it. Feed that back into the governance, feed that back into the decision rules. Use a single customer view then to improve the entire conversation. So if you want to take this back, it's more context, essentially. I was thinking about talking about AI and bored everyone to death because everyone's talking about AI, but context is the buzzword that you'll hear day in, day out, probably for another year or two to come, and it's the same here. The more context you have on that person, the better the relationship you will have with them. I liken this to what Hinge is and all those dating apps, and if you have a really crap description, probably not getting many swipes. If you have a really good description, you get loads more. Same thing here. So you can tell I've been on Hinge because I have no idea what it works like. So essentially today, if you're focusing on landing page optimization, you are isolating yourselves to designing beautiful landing pages. They will be incredible. They're not going to change the narrative. moving into single customer view will enable you to have better conversations, better customer journeys. It is not your silver bullet, so keep that in mind. There's things you will do to improve it, but it will help you much more than focusing on landing page optimization. So, habit to leave you with. Hopefully you're doing this already. But ask yourselves when you're designing the next experience, what should someone do or see before we ask them to do the hard thing? And usually that's a sale. Sometimes it's signing up, sometimes it's completing an application. And what should they do or see if they haven't done that? And I think that's where the magic is. We often forget that if they don't do the thing we want them to do, what then? And usually this comes into play with email messaging. If they haven't opened that email, well, how do they know what we've told them? We don't. And this is what single customer view will do for you. So pick a journey, map both branches, and find the gaps worth closing. That is my challenge to everyone. No one should do what I've had to do. 15 bloody windows, double click and resize, and I tell you, I had it down to a T. I had a 2-minute greeting, so good luck to anyone that ever phoned me, and I had all my windows sorted in that 2 minutes. Thank you for having me. Do we do Qs? This is my first one.
Any questions?
Any Qs? You can be kind and say none. Yes.
Is even call centers, like I had experience doing version media this week, which is always a challenge.
Yeah.
See, you get free to do automated stuff.